Hey everyone, my name is Mason and welcome back to another video. Usually will ask you to subscribe and all that, but I'm not going to today. I have more important stuff to talk about, but it would be appreciated, so please.
I'm cutting this stuff out.
Yeah, but I'm here to talk about DACA. This is actually a school project. This is going to be my second one of these school projects, but yeah, I hope you enjoy. So in June 2012, President Obama announced that DACA, which would legally protect immigrants who were under the age of 16, who didn't have a criminal record, had been in America since 2007, etc. Immigrants affected by DACA are often referred as dreamers, but in 2017, the Trump administration tried to get rid of DACA, not entirely, but to expire all DACA licenses by 2021. Lawsuits were made against the DACA cut, and the Supreme Court agreed to look over charges. And that was just a little bit of background reference. Enjoy me and Felix's making speeches as presidents. Just a heads up, this is not a political statement. We're just doing this for a school project. Anyway, enjoy. I'm done here. Let me just go down. Secret passage. Yay!
As president, my highest duty is to defend the American people and the Constitution of the United States of America.
Good afternoon, everybody. This morning, Secretary Napolitano announced new actions my administration will take to mend our nation's immigration policy to make it more fair, more efficient, and more just, specifically for certain young people sometimes called dreamers. These are young people who study in our schools, they play in our neighborhoods, they're friends with our kids, they pledge allegiance to our flag. They are Americans in their heart, in their minds, in every single way but one, on paper. They were brought to this country by their parents, sometimes even as infants, and often have no idea that they're undocumented until they apply for a job, or a driver's license, or a college scholarship. Put yourself in their shoes. Imagine you've done everything right your entire life. Studied hard, worked hard, maybe even graduated at the top of your class, only to suddenly face the threat of deportation to a country that you know nothing about, with a language that you may not even speak. That's what gave rise to the DREAM Act. It says that if your parents brought you here as a child, if you've been here for 5 years, and you're willing to go to college or serve in our military, you can one day earn your citizenship. And I have said time and time again to Congress that send me the DREAM Act, put it on my desk, and I will sign it right away. Now, both parties wrote this legislation about a year and a half ago. Democrats passed the DREAM Act in the House, but the Republicans walked away from it. It got 55 votes in the Senate, but the Republicans blocked it. The bill hasn't really changed. The need hasn't changed. It's still the right thing to do. The only thing that's changed, apparently, was the politics. As I said in my speech on the economy yesterday, it makes no sense to expel talented young people who, for all intents and purposes, are Americans. They've been raised as Americans, understand themselves to be part of this country. To expel these young people who want to staff our labs, or start new businesses, or defend our country simply because the actions of their parents, or because of the inaction of politicians. In the absence of any immigration action from the Congress to fix our broken immigration system, what we've tried to do is focus our immigration enforcement resources in the right places. So we prioritize border security, putting more boots on the southern border than any time in our history. Today, there are fewer illegal crossings than any time in the past 40 years. We focused and used other discretion about whom to prosecute, focusing on criminals who endanger our communities rather than students who are earning their education. And today, deportation of criminals is up 80%. We've improved that discretion carefully and thoughtfully. Well, today we're improving it again. Effective immediately, the Department of Homeland Security is taking steps to lift the shadow of deportation from these young people. Over the next few months, eligible individuals who do not present a risk to national security or public safety will be able to request temporary relief from deportation proceedings and apply for work authorization. Now let's be clear. This is not amnesty. This is not immunity. This is not a path to citizenship. It is not a permanent fix. This is a temporary stopgap measure that lets us focus our resources wisely while giving a degree of relief and hope to talented, driven, patriotic young people. It is precisely because this is temporary, Congress needs to act. There's still time for Congress to pass the DREAM Act this year because these kids deserve to plan their lives in more than 2-year increments. And we still need to pass comprehensive immigration reform that addresses our 21st century economic and security needs. Reform that gives our farmers and ranchers certainty about the workers that they'll have. Reform that gives our science and technology sectors certainty that the young people who come here to earn their PhDs won't be forced to leave and start new businesses in other countries. Reform that continues to improve our border security and lives up to our heritage as a nation of laws and nation of immigrants. Just 6 years ago, an unlikely trio of John McCain, Ted Kennedy, and President Bush came together to champion this kind of reform. And I was proud to join 23 Republicans in voting for it. There's no reason that we can't come together and get this done. As long as I'm president, I will not give up on this issue. Not only because it's the right thing to do for our economy, and CEOs agree with me. Not just because it's the right thing to do for our security, because it's the right thing to do, period. And I believe that eventually, enough Republicans in Congress will come around to that view as well. And I believe that it's the right thing to do because I've been with groups of young people who work so hard and speak with so much heart about what's best in America, even though I knew some of them must have lived under the fear of deportation. I know some have come forward at great risk to themselves and their futures, in hopes it would spur the rest of us to live up to our own most cherished values. And I've seen the stories of Americans in schools and churches and communities across the country who stood up for them and rallied behind them, and pushed us to give them a better path and freedom from fear, because we are a better nation than one that expels innocent young kids. And the answer to your question, sir, is this the right thing to do for the American people?
No.
I didn't ask for an argument. I'm answering your question.
I'd like to.
It is the right thing to do
Is it?
for the American people, and here's why.
Unemployment.
Here's the reason. Because these young people are going to make extraordinary contributions and are already making contributions to our society. I've got a young person who is serving in our military, protecting us and our freedom. The notion that in some ways he would treat them as expendable makes no sense. If there is a young person here who has grown up here and wants to contribute to this society, wants to maybe start a business that will create jobs for other folks who are looking for work, then that's the right thing to do. Giving certainty to our farmers and ranchers, making sure that in addition to border security, we're creating a comprehensive framework for legal immigration. These are all the right things to do. We have always drawn strength from being a nation of immigrants, as well as a nation of laws, and that's going to continue. And my hope is that Congress recognizes that and gets behind this effort. Alright, thank you very much.
As president, my highest duty is to defend the American people and the Constitution of the United States of America. At the same time, I do not favor punishing children, most of whom are now adults, for the actions of their parents. But we must also recognize that we are a nation of opportunity because we are a nation of laws. The legislative branch, not the executive branch, writes these laws. This is the bedrock of our constitutional system, which I took a solemn oath to preserve, protect, and defend. Okay. In June 2012, President Obama bypassed Congress to give work permits, social security numbers, and federal benefits to approximately 800,000 illegal immigrants currently between the ages of 15 and 36. The typical recipients of this executive amnesty, known as DACA, are in their 20s. Legislation offering these same benefits have been introduced in Congress on numerous occasions and rejected each time. Regarding its legality, the Attorney General of the United States, the Attorneys General of many states, and virtually all other top legal experts have advised that the program is unlawful and unconstitutional and cannot be successfully defended in court. There can be no path to principled immigration reform if the executive branch is able to rewrite or nullify federal laws at will. The temporary implementation of DACA by the Obama administration, after Congress repeatedly rejected this amnesty first approach, also helped spur a humanitarian crisis. The massive surge of unaccompanied minors from Central America, including, in some cases, young people who would become members of violent gangs throughout our countries, such as MS-13. Only by the reliable enforcement of immigration law can we produce safe communities, a robust middle class, and economic fairness for all Americans. Therefore, the best interests of our country, and in keeping with obligations of my office, the Department of Homeland Security will begin an orderly transition and wind down all of DACA. One that provides minimal disruption, while new applications for work permits will not be accepted. All existing work permits will be honored until their date of expiration, up to 2 full years from today. Furthermore, applications already in the pipeline will be processed, as will renewal applications for those facing near-term expiration. This is a gradual process, not a sudden phase-out. Permits will not begin to expire for another 6 months and will remain active for up to 24 months. Thus, in effect, I am not going to just cut DACA off, but rather provide a window of opportunity for Congress to finally act. Our enforcement priorities remain unchanged. We are focused on criminals, security threats, recent border crossers, visa overstays, and repeat violators. I have advised the Department of Homeland Security that DACA recipients are not enforcement priorities unless they are criminals, are involving in criminal activity, or members of a gang. The decades-long failure of Washington, D.C. to enforce federal immigration law has both predictable and tragic consequences. Lower wages and higher unemployment for American workers, substantial burdens on local schools and hospitals, the illicit entry of dangerous drugs and criminal cartels, and many billions of dollars a year in costs paid for the U.S. taxpayers. Yet few in Washington expressed compassion for the millions of American workers victimized by this unfair system. Before we ask what is fair to illegal immigrants, we must also ask what is fair to American families, students, taxpayers, and job seekers. Congress is now the opportunity to advance responsible immigration reforms that put American jobs and American security first. We are facing the symptom of larger problems: illegal immigrations. Along with the many other chronic immigration problems Washington has left unsolved, we must reform our green card system, which favors low-skilled immigrants, puts immense strain on U.S. taxpayers. We must base future immigrants on merit. We want those coming into the country to be able to support themselves financially, to contribute to our economy, and to love our country and value for what it stands for. Under a merit-based system, citizens will enjoy higher employment, raising wages, and stronger middle class. Senators Tom Cotton and David Perdue have introduced the RAISE Act, which will establish this merit-based system and produce the lasting gains for the American people. I look forward to working with the Republicans and Democrats in Congress to finally address all of these issues in a manner that puts hardworking citizens and our country first. As I've said, we will resolve the DACA issue with heart and compassion, but through the lawful democratic process, while at the same time ensuring immigrants reform, provides enduring benefits for the American citizens we were elected to serve. We must also have heart and compassion for the unemployed, struggling, and forgotten Americans. Above all else, we must remember that young Americans have dreams too. Being in government means setting priorities. Our first highest priority in advancement to immigration reform must be to improve our jobs, wages, and security for American workers and their family. It is time for Congress to act.
Okay, thank you for watching the video. I really hope you enjoyed, and this is just me and Felix, mostly me though, making a logo kind of thing, for the Dreamers. It's a cloud, looking thing. It doesn't look like a cloud right now, but it's getting there. But it is just a logo for the Dreamers. I was thinking I could maybe make a logo for this for a t-shirt if I wanted to. Obviously, I'd probably make it look better than this because this isn't great, but yeah, I hope you enjoyed and enjoy this little bit of music.